When it comes to planetary observations, we often find ourselves choosing between high magnification and eye comfort. But every now and again comes an eyepiece that promises to give you both. Well, today we are looking at an eyepiece from a company that has been a staple in this hobby for decades, the Vixen SLV 5mm eyepiece. Vixen has been a major player in the astronomy game since 1949. Based in Japan, they are one of the few remaining companies that still designs and manufactures a significant portion of their gear, including these eyepieces. And one of their more popular lineups of eyepieces is the SLV series. For this, they did, however, move production from Japan to China. So what is the SLV line? If you've been in the hobby for a while, you might remember the legendary Vixen LV and NLV series. The SLV is the modern evolution of that heritage. The L stands for lanthanum, a premium heavy element glass that Vixen uses to virtually eliminate chromatic aberration. While many eyepieces struggle with color fringing in high contrast situations, the SLV lineup, just like its predecessors, is engineered to keep objects that are bright, such as Jupiter or the Moon, pure and sharp edge to edge. The SLV series occupies a very specific niche. They are planetary specialists. You will notice these only have a 50-degree apparent field of view. In a world of 82-degree and 100-degree spacewalk eyepieces, that might sound a bit too narrow. But Vixen made a conscious trade-off here. By keeping the field of view conservative and using high-grade lanthanum glass, they've reduced the glass count to 7 elements. In theory, this means less light scatter, higher contrast, and a sharper image where it counts, right in the center of the field of view. And since planets will appear small in the field of view no matter the magnification anyway, this might be the trade-off to make. But before we look through it, let's examine the eyepiece itself more closely. Let's get this out of the box. Vixen keeps the packaging utilitarian. No fancy magnetic labs here, just the essentials. Which is absolutely fine. I'd rather have them focusing on the quality of the glass than on the presentation. And the first sign of this going in the right direction is noticeable when picking the eyepiece up for the first time. It weighs in around 165 grams. The housing is made out of plastic and metal with that unique hexagonal top housing that stops it from rolling off your accessory tray in the dark. All in all, the eyepiece feels well put together. There is no rattling inside when shaken whatsoever. Mechanically, the standout feature is the twist-up eye guard. Unlike cheaper eyepieces, where the eye cup slides loosely or folds over, this has a distinct click-stop mechanism. It allows you to dial in that 20mm of eye relief exactly where you need it, and it stays put. It won't collapse when you press your face against it. Inside this housing, Vixen has packed 7 lens elements in 4 groups, utilizing that heavy lanthanum glass we talked about earlier. All lens elements are fully multi-coated to maximize light transmission and reduce unwanted internal reflections. To further improve on this last aspect, the lens edges are also darkened as well. Finally, flipping it over, the chrome 1¼ inch barrel is smooth with a safety undercut, and it's fully threaded for standard filters. Alright, let's stop looking at it and see what it can actually deliver. I've had this eyepiece for a couple of weeks now, giving me the chance to put it through its paces on multiple nights with good seeing conditions under Bortle 4 skies. To really see what the SLV is made of, I paired it with 2 different telescopes, an f7 4-inch ED refractor and a faster f f4.7 10-inch reflector. Right from the get-go, the views of Jupiter and the Moon were stunning. While trained at Jupiter, the SLV managed to extract a beautiful amount of detail. The two brown-reddish cloud bands were clearly visible, and a great red spot popped out after just a few seconds of letting my eyes adjust. Sharpness is dead on, and contrast and brightness are very high. One thing I immediately noticed was the lack of light scatter. The background sky stayed nice and dark right up to the planet's edge. The eyepiece also handled the light from the ED refractor beautifully without introducing any new chromatic aberrations. Switching targets to the crescent moon, the eyepiece presented an almost filled-out field of view, and a very flat one at that. Even in the demanding f4.7 reflector, the lunar details remain sharp right up to the edge of the field stop. In every situation, that 20mm of eye relief proved its worth. It allows for long, comfortable observing sessions without any strain on your eyes. And thanks to that twist up eye guard, I didn't experience any annoying blackouts or kidney beaning. Now you might be wondering about the narrow 50 degrees apparent field of view. Honestly, it didn't bother me at all, regardless of the magnification. Even pushing 240x on the moon, the amount of nudging and panning I had to was completely acceptable, and the optical purity makes up for the narrow window. Since images taken with a camera through an eyepiece almost never do the actual views justice, I've captured a couple of daytime shots of nearby terrestrial targets to better illustrate the image quality. Please note that daytime images are incredibly demanding on the optics. They reveal even the smallest optical imperfections like chromatic aberration or edge distortion that easily hide against a black sky at night. As you can see, the 5mm SLV performed quite well given the nature of the test. But to put this into perspective, we need to take a look at different eyepieces as well and compare the results between them. So let's check that out next. The first opponent was the SV215 3 to 8mm zoom eyepiece from SV Bony, set to 5mm, which in spite of it being a zoom eyepiece, it's one of the sharpest and well-composed eyepieces I had tested so far. And it proved a worthy opponent for the SLV, with both offering similar levels of sharpness and contrast. The presence of color fringing was also similar in both cases, with both eyepieces managing not to introduce new chromatic aberrations to the views. Brightness was marginally better on the SLV, and so was the viewing experience, thanks to the 20mm of eye relief compared to only the 10mm on the SV215. The field of view on both eyepieces is similarly flat, but on the SV215 it is a bit wider though, 50 versus 56 degrees apparent field of view. Next in line was the 9mm Delight from Teleview. In order to bring the focal length in line with the other eyepieces as much as possible, I've paired it with a 2x bellow also from Teleview, simulating a focal length of 4.5mm. While sharpness in these shots seems worse on the Delight, it's only a result of the difference in focal length, 4.5mm versus 5mm. Contrast and brightness are similar between the two, but where the Delight managed to perform significantly better is in terms of size and flatness of the field of view. One aspect that stands out is the lack of chromatic aberration introduced by both eyepieces. Here the SLV being able to go toe-to-toe with the Delight is really great to see. Both eyepieces provide a similarly relaxed viewing experience as they share the same eye relief specifications, making them equally comfortable to use even for those wearing glasses. But since the D-Lite features a much wider apparent field of view, 62 versus 50 degrees, the overall viewing experience was better on the D-Lite. So where do we land? Well, the Vixen 5mm SLV eyepiece is a very good mid-range planetary eyepiece that in some aspects is able to punch above its weight class. It is capable of delivering excellent views that are sharp, bright and have lots of contrast. Its apparent field of view is narrow and it could be flatter compared to other eyepieces, but it's not nearly as bad as you might initially think. For observing planets is more than enough. Its party piece is definitely how well balanced the views through it really are. The quality glass inside keeps the light in check, not introducing any new chromatic aberrations. Build quality is good as well, and at only $140 it represents a very affordable option for exploring the planets of our solar system. Anyway, that's been it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about this eyepiece and about planetary eyepieces in general. Do you mind having a narrow apparent field of view for this type of application? I'm very much looking forward to reading your opinions down below. Thanks for watching and catch you guys in the next one.